I would love to hear from one person about why you came today. Why did you decide to come this afternoon? Just right here, right in front. What's your name?
Valentina.
Valentina, very appropriate.
To learn your mindset.
To learn what?
Your mindset. What guided me to
mindset. Okay. Anyone else want to throw something out? Over there. Name? Matthew.
The title sounded interesting, and I wanted to hear your story.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Hope to share it. How many folks here would like to start a business one day? Just raise a hand. Okay. How many people definitely don't want to start a business? All right, so we're more than 50%. I'd say we're almost 90% potentially wanting to start a business. I think today it's not just about starting a business, it's about making the most of the opportunity. So putting my thoughts, I wanted to put some quick thoughts together. We didn't get to read the bio, which I think we spared everybody of that burden of hearing that. But I put a quick slide together just to sort of summarize my life for the first 20 years of my life. And I'm just going to use numbers. So number 2, this is how many preschools I was kicked out of. Number 2 preschools. 10, that's how old I was when the teachers still wouldn't let me go to the bathroom by myself. They didn't trust me. I was the only one that had to have a buddy going to the bathroom. 20, that's how many times I went to the principal's office, K through 8, 20 plus times. 60, that's estimated about how many days I missed of school my junior and senior year of high school. That number, anyone want to guess what that number is? That's my SAT score. Yep. That number, my high school GPA. Out of 100. Yeah, not terrible, not terrible. Gym, I always did well at gym. That number over there, that's how many times I applied to Baruch College before I got in. 20. This is an estimate. That's how many investment banks and consulting firms never responded to my job applications. And then the last one is how many times I've heard the word no in my life to something I wanted to do. So that's 0 through 20. Now let's look at the next 20 years. So I just turned 40, so it's been a bit. Thank you. Cheers. So for 350, this is about how many people work at the company that I started pretty much after I graduated from Baruch College. 10,000, that's how many people use our software, right, on a daily basis. So people wake up, marketers at big companies come in, use our software, do something to make a difference. That number, 300 million, that's how much money that we've made for shareholders and investors since we started the company. So people have actually taken that money. And that's 10 billion. That's the number of websites and pages that the company we started has affected. So over 10 billion website pages have been changed, edited, improved, all for the benefit of what we've done. So it's been a promising last 20 years. And really fast on just what we do. So Conductor, does anyone know what we do, by the way? Marius knows. You don't count. So we help companies do the kind of marketing that actually helps people. So we don't do ads, we don't do pop-ups, we don't do banners. We do marketing that's actually creating content, making things that are useful, helping to figure out something that your customers are looking for. So if you're Tide, the laundry company, instead of having some crazy Super Bowl commercial, you can make a video about how to get stains out of clothing or how to teach someone how to do laundry for the first time. This is what we help companies do marketing that's actually helpful. And these are some of our customers, these are some of our accolades, lots of good stuff. This is like a slide from one of our sales presentations. And just some recent successes that we've had. At the end of 2021, December 31st, 2021, we did the biggest financing ever in our entire industry. We raised about $150 million. In 2022, in 22, we bought our first company, which is a Dutch and Czech company that does basically real-time site auditing. So it crawls your website and tells you as soon as something goes wrong. And then just last Tuesday, we bought our third biggest competitor, which is based in Germany. So I went to Berlin for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and we now have over 75 employees in Germany and are like even more of a global company than we've ever been before. All sounds really great, right? Yep. Now when you look at this chart, this is our annual recurring revenue, which is the sort of chief metric in terms of financials. And you can see it's kind of nicely up and to the right over the years, right? And lots of good stuff has gone on here. Now, what I want to really spend time talking today is not about all the success. And it's interesting, like when you look at one of these little cracks here, or these areas, right? It's remarkably painful in terms of what you experience as you go through these places. The number of times we thought there wouldn't be another tomorrow. The number of times we thought it was the end of the road. You know, my wife's sitting up here in the first row. The number of times I came home and cried in my bed and said, you know, this is, you know, I can't be doing this anymore. Like it's all about to come to an end. And in spite of it, we've managed to find a way to persevere through success. So today, what I really want to speak about is not about having success, because everything's good when you're having success, but it's about challenges. And it's about challenges that you all are bound to have as you endeavor in whatever it is that you want to do, and how each of those challenges is actually an opportunity for you to get to your next level and how to power through them. So let's go through this. And just put in your back of your mind, I really want to spend a lot of time taking questions and talking with you interactively. So as you're thinking, write down some stuff, take advantage of the opportunity. Hope maybe I might have something helpful to share, but let's do some questions. So start of the business. This is like, I graduated from Baruch, I think on paper it's like 2005, that's around when it was. And I started this company called Link Experts. It was actually a side project while I was starting a mental health, online mental health business. At that time, nobody thought this was a good idea, which is why it's not on the chart here. But we started this business, and we were putting links on websites to help big companies show up in search engines. It was this kind of new idea. Google was still something that was just getting some accolades and starting to get some real usage. And you can see here, like, we actually grew this business really nicely, right? Over from 2006 to 2009, this went from being a zero business to about $25 million in annual recurring revenue, which is really successful. I mean, I was just doing the math on this. I was like something like 23, 24 years old. I remember I used to have to make everybody dress up really fancy in the office because I didn't want anyone to know how old I was. Interesting little side story. During lunch one day, I went and walked for my graduation, and I didn't tell people at the office that I was graduating from college because I didn't want them to think that the CEO of our 6-person company was still in college. But we built this business up, and sometime along the way of doing this, we realized that the business that we had started had some real fundamental flaws. And a lot of the flaws had to do with two things. One is it was a short-term opportunity. We basically took advantage of almost a problem with how search engines work. Now, we didn't know that at the time when we started, but it was something that it was an opportunity that was getting smaller by the day. And two is there was a lot of companies doing similar things to us, but instead of trying to help companies, they were doing dark things, like trying to get really bad websites and other things to show up. So it was this big crackdown. And as you can see here, our revenue from our peak went on a very, very precipitous decline. And keep in mind, during this time, we had employees and payroll, and we were, the business was never about like Seth trying to make more money every month. It just took a flat salary the whole time. It was about building something, and this thing basically fell out from beneath us. And it was going into this office every single day and trying to save what we had right in front of us. Ultimately, we ended up selling this business for a little bit of money, and they never paid us. So we sold the money, we sold the business, we made a deal, and the company that bought the company never actually gave us anything that they ever promised, and that's just the way that it went down. Now, as you can imagine, like you spend 4 years doing something, and then it just vanishes. All the people who work at the company saw their career opportunity of, I'm going to become the next level job, I'm going to become a better sales, I'm going to do all that, I'm going to manage more people. All of that just goes away. Now, what we did do is, rather than kind of pack our bags and do something else, we actually realized that there was a bigger opportunity in front of us, which was that our customers didn't know how to measure any of the things that they were doing. So instead of helping them building links to their websites, we helped them with building, we thought there was an opportunity to help them measure how people find them. So we took the 30 people around that stayed at the company, and we all became co-founders. We all basically started this new company. Now keep in mind, it's all the same. Anyone know what a cap table is? A cap table is like your capitalization structure. It's how many, it's just shares of your company and who owns them, right? You've got 10%, you've got 5%, you've got 1%. We kept all of the structure of the company the same. We didn't go and start something new because that would have wiped out all the investors and all the people who help support the business. We kept it all together, and in the same company, we started Conductor. And it wasn't like a break and then we started. There was some transition period, and that's right around here. This is sometime around like 2009, 2010. And then we built this business up, and it's been somewhat question in the front.
Seth, how did you come up with this innovative solution?
I'll hold that question and we'll come back to it. That's a great question. He asked how did it come up with the solution for what we're doing. So here's what it looks like. This is all the good stuff, and I have another version of this, which is like Series A, Series B, hit 100 employees, all the nice stuff. But I'm going to share a couple stories that I don't think I've ever shared before that are what really was happening during this time. So the first story is, you were fired and we need to sell. At the time when we were going down on that other business and starting this new business, I had two investors, two very large VC investors. And because the revenues were going away and we were trying to start this new software businesses take a lot of upfront investment because you have to hire a lot of engineers, you don't make money, it takes a long time to build a product, and then you have a slow recovery model to make money. While this was all happening, and it was sort of like it was going to plan. The plan was it was going to plan even though it wasn't the plan, if that makes sense. Like we were doing what we were saying what we were doing given the circumstances. It was a day in April, and I was actually going to my father's house with my wife for a holiday. It was a Jewish holiday of Passover, and we were going over there. And I got a call from one of my investors and says, "You can't do anything. Yeah, we have to have an emergency meeting, and you have to come to our office, like right now, basically." And I'm like, "Well, what? I'm going home. I'm going home. I've got plans." Like, "No, you have to come right this second." I had no idea what this meeting was going to be about, and I showed up at the meeting, and it was me. It was my original investor, and then the second investor. And they're basically like, they basically told me in a long way that one is they felt like we needed to sell the company immediately for anything, and two is that they didn't think that I was qualified to run the company anymore. And I had invested about 5 years of my life putting every single thing I had into this company. I mean, like literally every single moment, every single thing, and it was literally like the strongest person in the world just punched me right here in my stomach. I couldn't even talk when that happened. And it was nothing to say. And I remember I took a long walk home. I remember feeling like worthless and feeling like devastated, feeling like I couldn't breathe, feeling like shame and embarrassment, and not really also knowing what to do. And I obviously didn't listen to any of those thoughts that were in my head, because there's a lot of thoughts about all kinds of negative things that were going on in my mind. And I went to work the next day. And interestingly enough, the next day at work, or the next 2 days at work, we had our kickoff for starting the new company, because we had just sold the new business. And we were at the bowling alley in Chelsea Piers, and I get in front of everybody and talk about this grand plan for building this company of the future with the 30, 40 people that were still at the company. Fast forward 12 months, we sort of ran a process to sell the company while also just focusing on hitting our numbers and delivering and doing the things that we thought and said that we were going to do. 1 year later, that same investor had come and said to me, "Wow, you guys really have done a great job. You're one of the best CEOs in our portfolio." Which I wasn't really laughing so much at the time when I heard that, but that's really what this person said. And we ended up getting some financial support, and the show went on. right? We went from zero to a few $1,000,000, and things were going. All while this is going on, not one person in the entire company had any clue that this was what's happening to me in my world, right? I have to come in every day. I gotta be strong. I gotta be positive. No one had any idea that the floor was literally falling out from underneath us, and we had all this uncertainty going on at the management level. So now we're a few years later, and we found ourselves in our next crisis, right? We built the company up, but the company had been very focused on sales. So what I mean by that, very focused on getting new customers. Get the new customer. We have a big gong in our office, hit the gong, closing new deals. But what was happening was that customers who were using our products, like they weren't always getting the value that we saw. And rather than listening to those signs, we kind of ignored them. And why did we ignore them? Because we kept adding new customers, and new customers were really excited, and we kept growing and growing the business, right? You add 3 customers, you lose 1. You add 3 customers, you lose 1. You add 3 customers, you lose 1. The math works out really well. You get a nice little arc. The business is now $20 million. It's growing nicely, and then all of a sudden one day, you can't plug the hole for the customers who are leaving, and you didn't listen to the feedback that you were getting. You used temporary solutions to cover up real problems. Like for us, it was like doing extra services and sort of not focusing on the real problem, but doing side solutions. And then our business really started to flatten out. Now keep in mind, you might look at this chart and say, okay, well, it's nice up until the right, but during some of these times, we were losing like $1 million a month, right? Which is a lot of money. You're investing in the future, you're growing, and you're losing a lot of money. And we basically got to a place where my 2 investors said, there was no way this company was financeable. You're not going to be able to go out and raise more money because no one's going to put more money. We only had a certain number of, at the time, it was a certain number of months where you would run out of cash. You've got 150 people. We're up on 32nd and Park. Anyone is welcome to come and take a tour of our office. You can see everybody. Everyone's coming in. They're happy. It's a buzzing office. Everyone's there. You've got less than a few months left before you literally can't pay one person's salary anymore. And I started the process to go raise money. And I talked to literally 34 venture capital firms on the East Coast, on the West Coast. All of these are, jump into the room, you pour your heart out, and you hope that something catches on, right? You hope that someone wants to ultimately go through the process and write you a check. And it wasn't until the 35th meeting that I had where they were interested. And throughout that time, we had a competitor that was knocking on our door, saying that they were basically, they're vultures, right? They want to buy the company, basically tear it apart, take the customers, fire all the employees. I had a twitch in my eye. It was like my eye would go like that all the time. My wife's laughing because I remember looking in the mirror. My eye was just moving around all the time. This is like, for me, this is like my eye twitch era. And ultimately, we got that last investor to invest. They put $26 million into the company, and we had 2 weeks left of payroll at the time when that money hit the bank. And we, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I took a screenshot of our bank account and put it on my computer, and with our bank balance, and also went on a process internally about all the things that I wanted to change and do things differently. Which, if anyone's interested, I could share in the questions what some of those things are. But I never wanted to be in that place again. And we made really, really, really big change in the company, and I made big change in myself and how I operate. Now, fast forward a little bit later, we ended up selling the company to WeWork. Anyone ever heard of WeWork? No. So WeWork at the time was the fastest growing private company in the world and the fastest growing enterprise company in the world. They had billions of dollars of revenue, growing over 100%. They're also our second biggest customer. And they gave us pretty much an offer we couldn't refuse to buy the business, and we were going to use their platform to go and magnify what we were doing. We sold the business in March of 2018. And at first, things were going well. We're growing the business. We had our best year ever in 2018. 2019, not so much. We started to face a lot of challenges. Actually, I remember I had a meeting with the CFO and the CEO of WeWork, and I was excited because we had the best year ever. And they said, hey, Seth, no matter how much you grow, it's never going to make any difference to WeWork because your company's so small compared to how big we are. Which is not really, write that down and things not to say to leaders if you're trying to motivate them. But anyway, the real problem came in September of 2019. I'm sitting in my office, and keep in mind, we sold the company for about $175 million of WeWork stock. So we own a lot of stock. They're all ready to go public. Our employees had a lot more stock than that, actually, across everybody. And everything we had worked for was basically sitting on the shoulders of WeWork. And I get a knock on my door, and it's like around middle of September 2019. And it's from someone on our marketing team, and they said, Seth, we need to talk right now. And I said, okay, what's going on? They're like, there's an article in the Wall Street Journal that says Conductor is up for sale. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, that you're like, the company's being sold, and everyone at the company is talking about this. I had no clue. I had no idea of what was actually happening. And this became the beginning of probably the next 2 to 3 months of most difficult time of my professional life, right? Which was that we were part of this company that was imploding, right? WeWork was imploding. They were facing insolvency, where they also were running out of money. They needed a massive bailout. They couldn't go public. And Conductor is just a little, we were, about a $40 million business, but small compared to their business. Was like the last thing on anybody's radar. Our customers are calling us saying, hey, how are we going to continue to do business with you and pay you when your business might be going out of business? Two is procurement officers, finance teams. It was like everything was falling out. Our employees are like, should I be looking for a new job? I need to be looking for a new job. And what am I supposed to say, right? Like the company's literally there, and it looks like we're going to be sunk with this thing that we're attached to. No one to call, no one to come in and provide life support of any kind, and you got to figure out how to keep all your customers, how to keep your employees, and also find a way to get yourself out of that business. And the end of the story is a nice one, and that we ended up. As an employee base, we ended up buying the whole company back, and we went from when we sold the business only owning something of like around 8% of the business when we owned it, myself and all the employees, to owning about 95% of the business when we bought the company back. So we bought the company back. It was nothing short of a miracle. It was literally a miracle, and we had $3.5 million in our bank, which was the money that basically. I put into the company to keep the company going, right? It was early 2020. We were just starting to kind of get up. It was like a boxing match, and like you get this giant punch to the face. You can't see, you can't breathe. You're on the floor, and finally you get up, and you're starting to kind of like get your balance and get your motion. And then what happens? The pandemic. Pandemic kicks in 3 months later. I go from, hey, well, we're going to shut the office down for a couple of days, to customers don't want to pay their bills anymore. People are calling me and saying, you gotta fire as many people as fast as possible because the government's going to make it so you can't fire people anymore. It's literally doomsday. Our payroll is $1 million every 2 weeks. Cash in the bank, $3.5 million. How many investors to call? 0. How many anybody to call for any kind of help? 0. How much money left in the Besmertnik bank account to help? 0. Right? How much money left in anyone's bank account to help? 0. This is scary times. Again, you got to go out and you got to give confidence to your team. You got to go out and give confidence to your customers. And through, again, nothing short of a miracle and a lot of hard work and a lot of effort, we climbed our way out of this thing, and basically survived. And you could see, like, that's actually right around here. So all while we were doing this, you know, we found a way to continue to grow, to continue to persevere, to continue to push forward. And might I ask, like, you know, every business, there's momentum. In our category, we've been the most successful of all the companies that have started. There's been over 25 of them. We're the most successful of all of them. A lot of them, more than half of them, have gone out of business. Most of the competitors that we had when we started the business don't even exist anymore. So it's not like we're working in this category where just even any sort of, like, idiot can run the company and be successful. It's the opposite. You have to do the company has to operate from a place of perfection while that's happening, all under these circumstances. So these are just a few of the sort of trials and tribulations of doing, and I don't share this to dissuade anybody from being an entrepreneur, because I wouldn't change one part of my life for any of this. I share all this to say that, well, one is every great story, there's two sides to the story, and that there's great power in not giving up. There's great power in persistence. There's great power in resilience, and that ultimately, every challenge that you get is actually this opportunity to help get you to your next level, to help get you to something better. Because someone would look at my life and the company and say, wow, you're extremely fortunate, in any way that you want to measure being fortunate. But it didn't come easy, right? And it didn't come as a process. So if I go back to myself and say, hey, I can go back to Baruch graduate Seth, what would be some of the things that I would try to share with myself? So I have a couple, like about three or four sort of lessons that I'd like to just put in perspective for you. So one is, early days, I always thought success is just making money. More revenue. Get more revenue, get more of that. Now, in a business context, yes, revenue is a denomination that's internationally consistent of what a company is supposed to do. It's supposed to get more revenue, right? That's there. However, it's one thing if your goal is to drive more revenue or if your goal is trying to do something else. Now, I mentioned before we made major change after we almost went out of business that one time. And what we started to do is say, let's not focus on revenue. Let's focus on these things. Let's focus on learning and growing. Let's focus on us learning and growing. Let's focus on helping our customers. Let's focus on helping people. Let's find a bigger purpose to what we're doing, where the purpose is not about building a business, but the purpose is about doing something useful and valuable and accretive to the world. And interestingly enough, as we started to shift our approach to focus more on these things instead of these things, what happened? What happened? Revenue actually came as a byproduct of that, which is interesting. Next thing is, your actions are seeds. So this company that we just bought last week, they're called Search Metrics. And I never thought, we competed with these guys for many, many years. And when we talk about competing, it's like pretty fierce stuff. Like our sales teams are selling and trying to, we're trying to not say, we're trying to say why we're better, maybe why they're worse. We're going head to head. It's like people use the metaphor. It's like a knife fight in a telephone booth. It's pretty aggressive how you have to go out and go and compete for customers. And now all those people work at this company. They had a lot of choices. They could have sold their business to other folks. And actually, Conductor's offer to buy their business, do you think it was the highest or the lowest? It was the lowest. Now, why did they take the lowest offer? Because they trusted us. They saw our values over the years of building the business. They respected the way that we treat our customers, the way that we treat our people, the way that we treat our industry, the way that even though when we're competing, we do it with respect and honor. And I think about this as, in all the years, it would have been so easy to do the sort of behind the back techniques, to do the things that are quicker fix or dishonorable things, lying or other stuff like that. But we've always chosen the road of taking the high road. And I really believe in life, the things that you do are like these seeds. Now you might not see when you plant a seed, what happens on the first day? Nothing, right? You don't see anything. But seeds grow, right? Sometimes they grow in weeks, sometimes they grow in months. The seeds of life can grow in years. And the actions that you take will manifest over time. And I think you have to always ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to have in the future? Do I want to live in a forest of green trees with beautiful bananas? Or do I want to live in, a dark forest with Venus flytraps trying to bite your ear off, right? But this is all something in your control. And then the last two things are challenges or gifts. I believe that you don't get challenges in your life unless you are actually able to handle them. You're all going to get lots and lots of challenges. I mean, there is just no way of avoiding this. You're going to get challenges in your personal life, in your professional life, with your friends, with your parents, with family members, with colleagues, with everything. It's going to be a constant state of challenges. Now, if every time you have a challenge, you're a victim, why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. This person did something wrong. It's going to be a painful process of life if you are constantly the victim. But even worse than that is you miss the opportunity. Because what I found in all of the challenges that I've had, they all turn out, there's an opportunity to do something better. There's an opportunity to grow. There's an opportunity to level yourself up. And it's interesting, you ever be in a dark place where the world's caving in on you, you've got some kind of problem, and you're like, how the hell is this thing an opportunity? But the first step is to actually say, where is the opportunity in this problem? And as soon as you get yourself to that place, from a mental place, that is when you'll start to actually see it. And I think that this is a mentality that is necessary to achieve, I think, the potential that you all have. And then the last thing is, this is a sign that I have in my office. I've had this sign up since the very beginning. I think that's been me and our company, which is green. Just don't give up, right? There's a lot of softness in society, right? Softness is, like you get bumped, you fall over. You fall over, you lay down, you go to sleep. Versus like you get bumped, you stay firm. You get bumped, you fall over, you stand up. You hit your head on the wall, you get up. You do something, get up. I think this is why we like to hire people from Baruch College, because I think Baruch College people, they know what it's like to fall out. They know what it's like to get whacked in the head. They know what it's like to suffer. But we're not victims. And not giving up and pushing yourself to just get to the next moment, just to keep grinding forward and going after whatever it is that you seek, whether it's to create a successful company, whether it's to become a Broadway star, and anything in between. Those things can all happen if you keep listening and learning and going after them. So that's a little bit of our story. And would love to, I know we have some questions. I'd love to take some questions and appreciate you all listening.
Okay, we have a microphone in the back, so students, if you have any questions, you can just go back and start asking questions to Seth.
I think we had that one question, right? Your question?
Yeah.
Yes,
Your question was, how did you come up with the solution?
exactly.
So, listening, right? So, anyone do sales? Any kind of sales? Sales, marketing? In some ways, we're all doing some kind of sales and marketing. If we're trying to convince anyone or get an opinion of yours to be someone else's, then you're persuading. And the interesting thing is, I think most people earlier in their life think that selling is actually talking, when it's actually listening. And when you read negotiation books or books on convincing and persuading others, it's actually about listening. So how did we come up with this? We actually just listened to our customers. We brought them in. We asked them what they wanted. We asked them what they cared about. We asked them the problems they had. We asked them how much they would pay to have a solution to those problems. And by listening to them and then coming up with some ideas and showing them and continuing to listen, we were able to come up with good ideas. And it's just so profound how just all you have to do is listen to get the answers to a lot of the questions you have.
Okay, any questions? Can you go back to the microphone, please?
Thanks for asking the question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, for small businesses, I see a lot of issues of building a team. I guess from one person until you get to 30 or 50 people. How did you manage to build a team and make them loyal? I guess you have a core people that are always loyal to you, right?
Yeah. We have at Conductor, we have people who, we have obviously people who just joined, and then we have people who've been in the company 15 years. They've been at the company the whole time. They've been at the company even when every logical sign would say leave. Even I would say leave. You probably should leave. Get out of here before it all comes to it's all over. A lot of it has to do with being authentic to your heart and to yourself and to people. It's the problems in society where are also the opportunities for you all. And it's interesting that as many jobs and companies and corporations and all this stuff there is, it's really hard to find an authentic boss, an authentic manager, an authentic leader, someone who's just going to be honest with you, someone who's going to tell you when things are good, someone who's going to tell you when things are bad, someone's going to tell you when you're doing a good job, someone's going to tell you when you're not doing a good job, and someone who actually cares about you and cares about the success and cares about the group. So, I mean, clearly from my stats, it wasn't that nobody is working with me because I'm some kind of prophetic smart person. It's because that I care. I care about all the stakeholders in our community. I care about them. I care about what we're doing, and they know that they can count on me. One, being there no matter what happens, and two, not putting them first in a difficult situation as compared to putting myself first. And you do that, it's like someone found someone. If you can be that or any bit of that, good people will they want to be close to that, right? They don't want to have to go to work and have to be in this place where they can't trust the folks around them and they don't know who's telling them the truth, and they know their leader would throw them under the bus the first chance they had. Just be a real person and people, and you'll get really good people.
So if I may add,
Great question.
If you go to the Conductor website, the people first is one of the logos I realized. So I think what Seth is talking about exactly the people first, right?
Yeah, building a company or really anything, like you wanna make a production, you wanna make a movie, you wanna start a sports team, you wanna have a club. It's all people, right? I mean, we live in a world where people, and if you do the things, some of the things that I shared, which is putting other people ahead of your own needs and really caring for people, all kinds of magical things can happen. And I would say this is true in any job. You're no matter what job you have, if your energy and your mentality is to support your colleagues and to help the company and help your people, it's going to work out well in the long term. Yes, some people might not notice that. And yes, it might seem like if you said, I did all the hard work and this guy didn't, maybe in that situation it might benefit you. But in the long term, the right people around you will recognize your humility, and you will be rewarded, and you'll be sort of on top at the end, in my opinion.
Okay, next question, please.
Hi, thank you. In your response to the first question, you mentioned that you've read a few books on negotiation and persuasion and so forth. Which book would you say has been the most impactful on your career? And if there's a book that you would mandate your entire sales team to read, which would it be?
Well, there's one that I just pretty like 90% finished, called "Never Split the Difference," which is it's written by this FBI hostage negotiator. Anyone read this book? It's like I read this. You read this book, and it's like your words are like a samurai sword, right? Like you can do like Jedi things with your words if you know how to use them, and you know how to you know how. And this book talks about listening and the way to ask questions and the way to put labels on things. And like I read this book, I'm like, oh my god! Like it made me realize like I know so little about how to use my words to find mutually winning situations, right? Because negotiating is not about I win, you lose, but it's about how do you get what you want, how do I get what I want? This book has just I think it's pretty mind blowing. Now it's a long book and it's not all like riveting and exciting, but there's really good techniques that I think, again, if you're trying to, whether you're interviewing for a job at McDonald's, I work at McDonald's, or whether you're starting a company or anything else, right? This is going to help you. These techniques.
Can you
will help
repeat the title of the book?
Oh yeah, never split the difference.
Okay, Never Split the Difference.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
really good book. And another good book I like is Hard Thing About Hard Things. This is a good story about just trials and tribulations of a guy named Ben Horowitz starting a business, which became successful. But it's like a lot of these kinds of stories, and I tend to love the struggle stories.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Hi, Seth. Thanks for sharing your story and congrats on all your success. I was curious, you didn't mention much about your childhood. I guess you started as an entrepreneur so young. Was there anything that, I guess, drew you to become an entrepreneur, or any advice you can share for maybe aspiring entrepreneurs?
So let me rephrase that question,
Yeah.
because I jot down that one of my questions is like, well, how do you know if I should be an entrepreneur or not, right? Because when very young age, maybe your parents or somebody will coach you and tell you that, look, work for the big company, we'll work for the government, settle down, be happy.
Yeah.
Why in the hell you want to
Yeah.
be an entrepreneur who has to get through all those things? So I think
Yeah.
it's a similar question.
Yeah,
right?
you used to talk about childhood, and then
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll talk about your question first. So, don't be I mean, while I sort of represent entrepreneurs, that is not like the winning career, right? To be an entrepreneur, there's a lot of pros and cons to being an entrepreneur, and in all careers there's a lot of pros and cons. I think that to be an entrepreneur, it's a real, you make a real life sacrifice. You generally have to give up a lot of things in your life. You have to give a lot of time. You have to live up a lot of your mental focus on other things. You have to make a lot of sacrifices, right? My wife can speak firsthand, like all of the things that were missed and all the things that didn't happen, and even the times when you're there, but all you can think about is the problem that you have, or the things going on. So you have to really have the drive and want to do it. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for someone. You can't just, it's not like I wake up, that's what I do. I'll be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna start a company. Like, it doesn't work like that. You have to have the real passion to do it. You also have to be probably pretty frustrated about all the other options out there, which I think was part of the case for me. The other thing is you want to have a good idea or something you're passionate about, right? Now, if you're in the mindset of thinking about ideas, they'll come to you. So, if you want to start a business, open yourself up to ideas. But if you have an idea that you really are excited about and you're willing to give it everything you have and to make sacrifice to go and do it and to deal with the difficulty, then you can be an entrepreneur. And the point of me sharing my stats in the beginning was to show, like, you don't have to be really smart. You don't have to be great at school. You don't have to be the person that everybody said was good. You don't have to be any kind of special person. You just have to be a person that is going to keep going after it and not give up on things. Now, you mentioned childhood. Like, I think that, for me, I came out of my home with this giant aspiration to be different and to just be different than everybody else. And also, I think, for not good reasons, but I tend to love chaos. I love dysfunction, and I sort of thrive on that. And I think that by working full time through college, when I went to Baruch College, I did all my classes 6 to 9:40. Big up to the 6 to 9:40 crew here. And I worked from 8:30 to 5:30, and doing that for a number of years, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I want to be doing something different every day, which doesn't work when you have to do the same kind of job. So my thirst for chaos and just kind of craziness led me to the class. Like, I got to do my own thing. And I didn't. Once I finished college, like I never even thought about having a job at that point in time.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
a
you.
lot. Really enjoyed the slide deck. It was great.
Okay, thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, Seth. So first of all, thanks for coming out to speak with us. I'm Andrew. I'm a senior graduating this coming May. So a lot of your points were really great. Definitely agree with the point about planting the seeds, and then one day in the future they'll sprout. So if it's good seeds, they'll be good things, right? So my question is really about the whole concept of challenges or gifts. like you've said before that sometimes you feel like you've met a challenge and you're surrounded in darkness and everything seems to be coming in at you. Like it's super claustrophobic, right? So at that point in time, what do you suggest to do to like sort of, I guess, shift your thinking, right? Like we all get stuck in our heads sometimes. I'm guilty of that. But like, what can I do to like break out of that, like change my perspective? Because it's hard to get out of your head.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a great question, and I'm not going to profess to have all the answers, but like I had a really bad day yesterday. I just like I felt depressed yesterday. Like I was uninspired, I was unmotivated. I just felt like everything's going wrong, which it kind of is in the present sense, and you know I had a lot of thoughts in my head, you know, that just come up when you feel that way, right? Like, should I be doing this? Should I do something else? Like, why not? Like, but a few techniques I've learned. One is when you're feeling that way, don't listen to yourself, right? Like, don't make decisions when you're in emotional states. Don't listen to those dark voices that come out in the times when you're feeling down. That's one thing. Two is recognize that it's part of the process. You're always going to have these down days, these down weeks. It's like, while it's not fun, it's normal to have them, right? So don't judge them and say, I must be doing something wrong because I'm feeling bad today or feeling bad this week. Three is, you know, I think some techniques that I think are really hard to do, but like if you can try to have some kind of vision in the darkest times, if you could try to do some really like nice acts of helping people or generosity, like the last thing you want to do when you're feeling horrible is to go out and help somebody. But if you can just force yourself to go do something like that and you know, it's buy a sandwich for someone on the street, anything, like these things actually can start to change your cycle. And then just get up, you know, like I got up today and I'm here, right? And now I feel a little better actually just being here with you all and like having this opportunity to, you know, maybe share some good ideas with you all. So it's just getting with it. I would also say your community and your environment matters. Someone once said like you can't choose what your friends say, but you can choose your friends. And I think about this a lot. Like you get to select the environment that you're in. So what I do is I have a lot of pillars in my life that are there to bring me goodness. One is we have the people in our company come to work instead of staying at home. I go to work every day. I don't stay home. It's hard. I need to go out. I need to be with people. I have my community in the office. They're all there. They're smiling. They're going on. What's going on? It was the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. You know, that penalty, whatever, right? These kinds of things, they help you. You know, I go to a therapist once a week. Every week I go there, right? That's a point of time. I have sports. I have other things I do. So I created all these different things in my life. You can do clubs. You can do, you know, family dinner on Fridays, whatever it is. But all of these little things that you have them there, they can help provide support to help you get, you know, to cycle through these, you know, tough moments. And I think the skill of cycling through difficulty is like a muscle you want to get through. You're all going to have difficulty. You're all going to want to not do nothing. But just saying, I got to figure out how to just cycle through this. You know I know I'm supposed to feel this way, but I know I can get past it. The more you can cycle, the more you can just get to the good part.
Great
question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next one, please.
Hello, I had a question related to mindset as well, motivation. So I was wondering what helped you keep your overall motivation? Because I know some days you're less motivated, some days you're more motivated. So I wanted to know what drove you and what helped you to kind of excel despite any failures and challenges. What kept you going?
Yeah, great question. One thing I want to when I answer your question, also segue on the last one, is also like, I think habits are important, right? Like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you putting good food in your body, right? How much time you spend on your phone, right? And like, what are you looking at and things like that. Like, these things matter, right? Like, you know, look at the little thing on your phone that says screen time. Like, how many hours? You know, I spend 5, 6, 7 hours a day, right? These are all they're affecting your psyche. So try to, you know, and again, we all have lots of bad habits, right? I could do a whole session on all the bad habits that I have. I'm sure each of you can do that. So don't judge yourself for having bad habits, but try to make these things better. Try to take better care of yourself. That will ultimately help. Now, to your question on techniques to get motivated and from the beginning, you know, I had a few things that I was working for different points of time. You know, one is my father worked for the Department of Transportation. He worked there for I think 45 years. His final salary was $82,000. We never had money growing up, and my father didn't. He worked 2 jobs after he came back from his work. He did home inspections in people's houses, and I was always like, I want to. It's not that I want to be rich, but I want to be able to be in control of my life, right? I want to have independence. I want to be able to, have freedom, and that was a motivating source for me in the very, very beginning. And then now that's manifested into, I got all these people that work with me in building this company, and we have all these customers that depend on us, and we can help their lives. We can help them achieve something they want to do in life. And that to me is very motivating to go and to have a difference. So I think that's like the big things, but on a daily basis, it really comes down to it's just getting up and doing it and having a place to go and just taking the next step, right? It's like if you just make a little progress every day, it all adds up a lot over time, and it's creating good infrastructure in your life to make it easier for you to make that step every single day. So highly, not to tell you all what to do, but highly recommend whatever you decide to do. Like you shouldn't be, you should leave your house during the day. You should go somewhere. You should be with people. These, especially when you're early in your career, right? Because these things help bring motivation, right? They help bring motivation. Even if you're not a social person, you don't want to talk to anybody. Just being near people, right, and being outside will help bring you energy and help bring you positivity.
Thank you.
Great question.
Okay. Next.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for a great presentation. And you mentioned in the beginning that you went through a lot of change internally during your last 2 weeks of payroll cycle, and you said we can ask about that.
Oh, yes. So, well, I shared a little about this. So when we got this financing done, and I put the screenshot on my computer, I was like, I never, ever, ever want to be in this situation ever again. And it actually, that moment in time became the beginning of a lot of change, but also became the beginning of a few years of growing more and more on a daily basis. So it became a beginning of a really good time. So a few things we did. One is I parted ways with a decent amount of leaders that were like people who had worked at the company that were my friends. They became friends from working at the company, but they weren't the right people anymore. And I made some hard decisions. You ever have these decisions where you have to make them, and you know what the right thing to do is, but you're just too scared to do it? Well, that staring at death gave me the motivation to make some of those hard decisions. So that was one thing. 2 is I changed the whole orientation of Conductor to, instead of just getting new customers, to let's make our customers successful. Let's help our customers. So we changed all of the ways that we report. Instead of looking at the number of sales and how much revenue we made, we looked at how happy customers are and how much they use the product and whether they told us on a scale of 1 to 10 whether they would use us again or not. We changed the whole focus of the company to focus on the value that we were delivering instead of our growth. And that became the beginning of creating more happy customers, to making the product better, to make customers happier, to sell the product in a way that was more about delivering successful customers. And over time, customers became happier, customers stayed longer, customers told other customers Conductor did a good thing. The employees felt better because they were now working with happier customers, and it all became a cycle. So it was adopting a mission that was around helping customers. The mission statement that I shared earlier came in that time, and all kinds of great things happened to Conductor after we had a mission that was about doing something good and helping people. And I would just say, when you join, if you're looking for a job, join a company that is adding value to society, right? It makes it, I'm not saying you have to join a nonprofit, but join a company that has some kind of thing that's doing something good. There's good energy around that. And then in your own life, just think about how you can make some kind of contribution in any small or big way in the things you do. And doing that gives you motivation when you're doing something that's actually really useful and adding value.
Okay.
Awesome questions. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks so much. Now, your company, the Conductor, in my mind, is the number one leader of the SEO, marketing, or organic marketing, and all those lingos. Now, so I mean, among students who ask very interesting questions, so I'm sure that not all of you are studying marketing or interested in this particular the technology area, technology-based marketing field. But how they get into that kind of field now, from your perspective? I mean, what kind of skill sets, or how they prepare if they want to get into this marketing technology kind of?
Is anyone here interested in going into technology in somehow, any kind of technology? So that doesn't mean you have to be an engineer, but just working at a company that has technology in it. It's really like anything else, right? It's when you're it's really, there's no difference. Now, there's some skills that could be helpful, right? I'd say doing some kind of engineering. I'm not an engineer. I've never written code, but I do think that's like a skill that is useful to have, even if you're not going to be in engineering. It's like, there's like some basic things, like knowing accounting is a good thing to know. Like knowing math and engineering, like generally these are some like good skills to have. And it's just like immersing yourself in it before you're actually doing it. And there's more opportunities today to engage in forums and communities and learn and go to meetups and stuff like that than anything else. And if you want to, it's like getting a job is it's not that hard when you do something different. Now, the normal way to get a job is you make a resume. You got, Baruch has a nice template. You go to the website, you submit it, and you cross your fingers, right? That's like, do that, but that's like, everyone's doing that. So I always say, like, when everyone's doing something, you're probably doing the wrong thing, and there's got to be another way to do it. So I would say that if you want to work in technology, there's some technology companies you like. One is get some expertise, get some experience, do some stuff. Even companies like Conductor, we have webinars and meetups and stuff, and anybody can actually come. They're free. You just go to them, right? So there's lots of places to learn. And then when you see a company you really want to work at, where you want to get involved, either as an intern or employee, email the CEO. Anyone here ever email the CEO? How come?
No, you did?
Did they write you back? Did they write you back? No. All right. But yeah, Marius emailed the CEO. Like email the CEO, right? Like, so every CEO has basically this email address: your first name, dot last name at the company, or first initial last name at the company, or first name at the company, right? You'll know because they'll bounce back. Email the CEO and write five sentences, and it's like, here's who I am, here's why I like your company, here's why I can help, here's something that's unique about me. You know what? I've been to your last 6 webinars. I'd love to be an intern. And if they don't write back, just keep writing them until they do write you back, because they probably didn't see it, but they will write you back. And the more persistent you are, the more they're going to like you. And what are they going to do when they write you back? They're going to send it to their HR department, and their HR department's going to be like, the CEO just sent me an email of a person. We should talk to that person. So, like, there's always a path to get the thing you want, and it's like, do the normal path, but find a different path. And I think that this is true for anything. Now, maybe if you're applying for a job at Goldman Sachs, I don't know. I mean, you could email the CEO. I would do that. But there's also different levels of leadership, different folks, and you'd be surprised how few people do this, which makes it so when someone like me gets a nice note written by someone like you that's actually been thoughtful, and you've demonstrated that you work hard and you're smart in some way, I'm gonna be like, I'd love to give this person an opportunity.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question just to bounce off of that with networking. And I was going to ask you, what was your first real break into what you wanted to do? Was it a specific person, or something maybe like that you did, an action that somebody took, when they liked? Like, what did you do to really get your foot in the door, as they say?
Well, the question is like, when did you get like some kind of break or get your foot in the door? You could spend a lot of time thinking about things and not doing stuff, or you could spend a lot of time doing stuff and then you think about it later, right? And you got to find the right balance, but too many people overthink and don't do enough, especially if you're trying to start something or do something. So what we did is we just made a website. I think it was like $500. We paid someone to make a website. Really easy to make a website. We put something up there, and it said that it said what we did, and someone called us and said, hey, we love what you do. Like, we want to give you money. This is when we started the link building business, and I'm like, wow, this is a real thing. Like, people actually want to give us money. We didn't have anything really to sell them, but we got people actually giving us money. We got people who wanted to do this because we just put something out there, and that gave us validation and fuel to go and do that. So I would say, like, I don't think you need, maybe if you want to be a celebrity, you need some kind of big break, right? I do think big breaks come from like lots of no breaks, right? Like you keep doing something and you keep trying and trying and trying, and eventually serendipity comes. But just do stuff and get learning and make progress. And I think you'll have incremental success. You don't need a big windfall. You don't need to be on the new cover of the New York Times or any of these things. You just need to make some progress, and something good will happen.
Thank you.
Just keep emailing those CEOs.
So I encourage you to write an email to Seth, right? He's a CEO, okay? Don't exclude him, okay, when you attempt to do that. All right, so this may be my last questions to wrap up.
Okay, great.
So, you touched upon many, many different lessons and out of your life and how to start the company, all that. But if you pick just one, okay, just one, the most important life lesson that the students want to walk away with, what that will be? Just summarizing everything as
What do you all think? What?
Never give up.
Never give up?
Okay.
Anyone else? What do you got?
Start.
What?
Get up and start.
Say it again. Sorry.
Get up and start.
Get up and start. Yeah. Say it again. Be aggressive. Yeah. What else? What do you have? You've been paying good attention. Persistent. Say it again. Plant those seeds now.
Keep your vision close to your heart.
Keep your vision close to your heart.
Never give up.
Never give up. Over there.
Do good habits.
Say it again.
Do good habits.
Good habits. You have one habit you want to make a little better?
Using my phone less.
Use your phone less. All right. We all have that. It's stealing your life. Over here.
Consistency.
Consistency. Yep. Just get up. Keep doing it. Just be consistent, right? Don't fall over.
Don't chase the cash.
Say that again.
Don't chase the cash.
Don't chase the cash, right? Chase making a difference. What else? This is real stuff. They answered all your questions. Those are the principles, right? Say that again. So I don't hear good. Yeah, without failures, you don't. Right. Yeah, failure is like, I put the word failure in quotes because, like, you're always failing, but this is the only way to grow. This is the only way to get to the next step. You're always doing that. It's like, and in each of those little moments on that chart, like, I remember the feeling of like, this is a failure. This is success. This is not going to be as successful. And if you could have that perspective of zoomed out and say, I know this feels like the world is ending today, but it's really not, because I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to do a little better, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to go after it and do it the next day and the next day. And before you know it, that is going to be a little valley in your chart of progress and whatever it is you want to progress in.